So I went to Catholic school 12 years, and so when I was in school, I was an altar boy, and at our school they had this thing called funeral teams. If you're an altar boy, right? Which basically, I guess the turnaround time is pretty fast on a funeral. So you can, because no one knows, and so there's 4 altar boys that are assigned to a priest, and if he gets called for a funeral, then they call you immediately, and you're responsible for fulfilling that spot if you can't do it. And what was awesome about being on a funeral team is most funerals happen during the week, during the school week. So at the beginning of the day, you'd come into school and there'd be an announcement like, "But Ted, Jack, Mark, and John, please come down to the office." We knew, yeah, it's funeral day. This rules. I don't know if anybody here has been to a Catholic funeral, but they drag on for at least 2 hours. And it's very easy to get out of half your classes for the day by just, doing a very thorough job of what you have to do. So, come in one day, it's a funeral day, we're super psyched. True. Me and a bunch of friends, our friends we go down to the office, we walk over to the church, and we're going over there, and my friend Jack is with us. He kept talking about how hungry he was. Like, "Oh man, I didn't eat breakfast. I'm starving. I'm gonna sit through a whole funeral, and I'm just gonna be starving. Like, it's crazy." We get there. We're all like, we're setting up. We're putting on the altar boy robes and whatnot. And we're kind of like, "Oh, where's Jack? Where'd Jack go?" And Jack is in the other room. He comes back in, and he's got a bag of communion wafers in his hand. They come in bags about this big. And he's got it open, and he's just eating them like potato chips. We're like, "Jack, what are you doing? You can't do that." And he's like, no, guys, it's totally cool, They're not blessed. Like, these are the pre-blessed wafers, it's just bread, it's not Jesus, it's totally cool. So, of course, we were just like, oh, why? I guess you're right, you got a good point. So he's like, so he's eating the communion wafers, and we go, the funeral happens, we're serving the mass, and there's different parts during the funeral where you have to go to the back to get this thing for the priest or whatever. So, we do the thing, we go back, pop a couple, go back out, go back, a couple more, go back out. And at the end of the funeral, we're packing up to go back, and there's like a small handful left. Jack just takes them all, puts them in his pocket, and he's eating them on the way back to school as we go back. And recess comes along, and we all get called to the rectory. And the funny part is, I really had no idea why they were calling us over to the rectory. I was like, one of the things you have to do after the funeral is bury the incense. And I was always terrified that I was going to bury it wrong. You bury it out in the church garden, and that the garden would catch on fire. I was always terrified of that, and I was like, oh my God, I set the garden on fire. I know that's what they're going to say. I know that's going to happen. Oh my God. So we go over there, the 4 of us. There's this room with just a couch in it. They have us go over there, sit down, and they leave us in there for a while. To kind of, which I now know to have us kind of sweat it out. And we have the inevitable conversation that's like, I don't know, so what do you guys think? Why do you think we're here? You don't think it was the wafers, do you? Do you think they know? And we're sitting there, and we're trying to figure out, all of a sudden, the woman who's in charge of the altar boy program comes in, sits down in front of us, looks us right in the eye, dead silence, stares at us, we stare back at her, stares at us, we stare back at her. Immediately she pulls out a little plastic baggie with communion wafers and goes, "We found these." And it turns out that what we didn't realize was Jack had a hole in his pocket and left a trail of communion wafers from the church going back to the school. And they're like, "Do you know that a 4th grader found these, and we had to answer the question of what was Jesus doing lying on the ground? Do you know he is scarred for life?" And so she was like, she buzzes over to an intercom and she goes, "We have a confession." And the principal and the Monsignor, who I guess were right outside the door, just both come in. And they just start grilling us about, how terrible we are, how awful it is, how you can't do that. One of the things they actually said to us, was, "Do you know what Satan worshipers would do if they got their hands on those?" And we were like, I don't know, eat them, I don't know. So they made us go and write letters to our parents telling them how bad we are. And then we went back in and went back to our class, and my teacher was a nun, one of the only nuns at the school, and I was, you know, a upstanding kid. She came up to me and she pulled me out of class, and she was like, "I'm surprised at you. I am so surprised. Why? What would make you do a thing like that?" And I looked at her and I was just like, I don't know, peer pressure?